I would like to tell you about a strange incident that happened to me a few years ago when I was living with my family as a neighbor in an old house. Every day I used to play in our garden with my friends and my little brother. It was a fact that our neighbor had an old house. He usually watered his plants, and we could see the ducks swimming happily in his garden. Once in a while we would see him feeding them. One day, however, her ducks suddenly disappeared. We tried to find him, but without success. There were not many wild animals in our neighborhood except for stray cats. Around the same time, however, my grandmother used to tell me that a girl in a red dress was walking on the roof of my neighbor's house at 3 o'clock, but she added that she was only there for an hour. At first I didn't believe it, but our neighbor continued to experience strange events. One day, I was playing with my little brother when I heard a high-pitched scream from the neighbor's house. I decided to look over the fence. What I saw froze me in my tracks. Normally there are only sticks in the pond, but this time there was a pile of bloody bones and skulls. When I turned my eyes back to the neighbor, I saw my neighbor standing frozen, stunned by the gruesome sight in the pond. All I could think of at that moment were the insects crawling among the rotten bones and the disgusting smell. I couldn't sleep that night. I lay in bed, but the sight and smell of the piled bones was still fresh in my mind. After a while I looked at the clock and it was 12:59, just before 3 a.m. I heard the sound of a metal roof in my backyard. I decided to look out the window. The sight I saw was horrifying. The girl in the red dress was walking along the edge of the roof. Her hair was dark and wildly disheveled, her skin pale, but I couldn't see her eyes, and that's when I realized that horns were growing out of both sides of her feet. I stood frozen. I didn't know what to do. Just then she let out a terrible scream and jumped into my garden at full speed. When he turned his yoke and looked directly into the window, I realized that his eyes were filled with a black liquid and insects crawling out of them. I was terrified, but I was only able to move again when she disappeared exactly at 4 o'clock a.m. I was frozen for a full hour. From that moment until 4 o'clock a.m. I was shivering inside and tried to go back to sleep, but I couldn't. I will never forget that night, especially her fate. The horrible scene will stay in my mind until I take my last breath. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.